Okay, you know what? This is what we're going to do. We're going to stop the live on TikTok. I think. I think that's what we're going to do. Okay, let's do that. Let's stop the live on here. Oh, that's so unfortunate if that's the case. Am I still alive? That's weird. I've never seen it do that. Okay. Okay, well, we'll. Okay, let's refresh here. I have been muted this entire time. That is so embarrassing. I was just trying to get everything set up. Okay, I think that's what we're going to do from now on, actually. Um, okay, rewind. Where were we? Okay. So, yeah. So, I have been in the competitive scene of Magic for close to 10 years. I started like right in high school, and I have just basically been in it ever since. And man, that is a really unflattering angle. Can I just set you up like that? Will that work? I think that'll work like that. Maybe. You know what? We're going to call that good enough, actually. So, uh, I was in it for 10 years, and I started playing competitively. You know, this is what we're going to do. Y'all are just going to chill right there. So what's my opinion on taxing the frogs? I'm not sure I know what that's referring to. Um so I started playing back then, and Innistrad had just come out, and Absent Restored had actually just come out, excuse me. And I remember there were like these like three or four guys that played there every week, and it was just like clockwork. They just every week, week in, week out, they they would win like first, second, third, just like every which way. Hey, thank you for the roses. Um and I would routinely just get the snot kicked out of me by them, just every time, never failed. And that was my main motivator, I feel like, to get better at the game, because I was never an athletic person, never an athletic kid, and I didn't really have a um competitive outlet. So I was like, hey, this game could actually be an outlet for myself that I can get better at and hone my skills at and compete. So that's really the thing that made me gravitate towards it the most. And I remember my first big boy purchase I made was uh what did I get? It was something ridiculous. It was just something really silly. Oh yeah, that's what it was. I paid $100 for four Falconwrath aristocrats. That's what it was. It was it sounds so silly saying that now because those things are like 25 cents a pop. And that was that was man, looking back on that was a really interesting thing. But what that eventually led to was me going into traveling for tournaments, because if you're not familiar with Magic, it's a lot like, as far as the competitive scene goes with it, there's a lot of crossover with other competitive games, where a lot of the tournaments that you can make money at, you travel to other places to go to compete. And being in the southeast, we actually are pretty spoiled when it comes to tournaments, because we're like right next to ATL, and Atlanta is really big area for competitive card games, and so we would go to ATL pretty regularly. We would play in a lot of things over there. We would play around the state, and uh, one thing that entails. How much are the top tournament prizes in Magic? That's a good question, actually. So the it really ranges. So when you get to the upper echelon, which is like the world championship and stuff, you're talking about like hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not. I don't think it's ever gotten to millions. I think it's only ever been, I think the top prize was like 30,000. I may be grossly underestimating that. But you can make a lot of money. More realistically, you're going to be getting uh if you do really well at like a bigger tournament, you're probably looking at like getting a couple of thousand. Like it's decent. You can make a living off of it. I'm never going to be good enough to make a living off of it, but the people who like live and breathe it, they can make a decent living. Most of that income comes from streaming though and content creation. That's kind of what you have to supplement it with. But basically just playing, you can make it's you can make fun money with it unless you're like super duper good. But how did Magic stay so relevant over a decade? Similar games and interests have not. That is also a very good question. Um, I think a lot of that really comes down to marketing. Wizards of the Coast, say what you will about them. They are excellent when it comes to marketing the game. I remember what got me into the game way back when was they had these intro decks. They were like this big, and I think I may have told this before, but they came in colors. They were like black, red, green, the typical colors of Magic. And I think they had like 30 cards in them. So the idea was you would go to a card shop and they would give you these. They were free. And they had just trash cards in them. But you would get one of them, and I think it had like 30 cards, and you would get another color. And the idea was you mix them together, and then you make one deck of 60 cards because that's the minimum of like two colors. And uh, that's kind of beside the point. But now how they stayed relevant is they've really, um, I think the secret layers like staying relevant to pop culture. And what's your opinion on frogs? That's a good question. Are they the psychic variety? Um, if you're talking about psychic frog, I'm kind of wavering on it a little bit. But with how they stayed relevant is like just really getting in, like staying relevant with the younger generations with the secret layers. Universes Beyond really got a lot of people into it, like with Lord of the Rings. I think that was the first one that they did. Like you capture an entire market that you wouldn't have been able to get otherwise, just because there are some people who don't really care about Magic. They don't really care about the card game, but they love Lord of the Rings. And that's going to happen this year again with Final Fantasy. There are people who don't know a thing about Final Fantasy, but I'm sorry, they don't know a thing about Magic. They don't really care about Magic, but they love Final Fantasy. And they will more than likely at least be halfway interested in getting, a collectible card for it. And then that can blossom into interest in the game. Also, I think their push that they did into esports overall, I think they officially called it a failure, but MTG Arena really helped them a lot, because I don't know if you know, Moto Magic Online is a very very crappy client to use. That's basically what they've been doing Magic. That's how you can play Magic Online. And they haven't really updated it since like I think 2002, 2003. It's like it's a relic. So when they did Arena, I think it was in 2018 was when they did Arena. that like helped put a fresh coat of paint on everything, and that really brought it into the mainstream. Also putting it on mobile. So I guess in summary, the way that they've stayed relevant that I can say is just attacking every angle that they can. Like, it's inescapable now. It's ubiquitous with like pop, like nerd culture at this point, more so than it used to be. So that's probably what I would say. But what's your opinion on Frog? Just to address that, I play a lot of Psychic Frog. I play Demir in Modern. I played Grixis Delver for a long, long time in Legacy, and I'm playing Reanimator right now in Legacy, and Frog is just way too good. Mel Rodriguez. I don't know who that is. I'm probably getting trolled right now, but we'll take the chance. Okay, I see that. Okay, I thought it was going to be like some kind of serial killer or something. So that's fine. I'll take that. He looks nice. Cut from Fountain of Youth, The Last Man on Earth. Okay, I'll take that. Thank you. Um. Oh, what was that? What was I saying? Oh yeah. So, back to the traveling aspect of it. So you travel to a lot of tournaments with Magic, and I have stayed in some really sketchy places. Thank you. He's always a jolly character. Okay, that's cool. I'll take that. I every time someone says you look like X or you sound like X, I just immediately think it's some kind of troll comment, and I'm gonna look it up, and it's gonna be like some kind of axe murderer from from like Scandinavia or something like that. What you playing? I'm not really playing anything right now. Yo, what's up, Johnny? I'm just kind of yapping right now. I'm trying out some different things. And I just took it as an excuse to just to stream and talk for a little bit. Um, and also you might can actually contribute a little bit to this, but um one of the places that I've stayed in recent times that was so great and so awful at the same time was we stayed at this place in Atlanta, and I don't even know where it was. It was an Airbnb. It was for like a GP or something that was in the area. I'm following Leaf. Okay. Thank you. I'll take that. Thank you for the follow. Um uh we were staying there for like a GP or something. And on the outside, yeah, Atlanta is where we messed up. I can't help it, man. I can't help it. Like Atlanta is like, say what you will about Atlanta. There's just a lot of events that happen there. It's not my favorite city in the world. I won't deny that. It has some things going for it, but yeah, it's the best part about Atlanta more often than I was leaving Atlanta. But uh, yeah. But the place we stayed at was an Airbnb, and all of the pictures that we saw were it looked great. It looked like a very nice home. White walls, flat screen TV, nice chairs, nice everything. And we got there, and we uh first of all, it was like a clown car, like getting out of this, because we the the posting comfortably um like eight, like maybe it wasn't even eight, it was probably like six or something. And it did, there was like a bunk bed, there was like a bed, there was another bedroom, there was a couch, so it was a pretty nice little house. And what we found out was the more once we got in there, it was like things just started falling apart everywhere when we got in. Because I don't know if anyone, this is it actually kind of relates to my shirt too. It reminded me of, if anybody in the chat has ever seen Arrested Development, it was like the model home in that, where everything started breaking as soon as we got in. Because we got into the house, and the door almost fell off of the hinges when we opened it, and I was like, oh, that's weird. Let's be careful with that. And yeah, comfortably fit comfortably 6 people. I'm getting to that part of it though. Were you with us at that? I can't remember if you were, Johnny, or not. There were so many freaking people by the end of that I can't remember. But we got there, and the door almost fell off the hinges, and we are like, okay, we'll just be careful with that. So we gently closed it, and we we sat on the couch. Someone sat on the couch, and the bottom of it almost fell through. So someone was like, "Oh my god, don't break the couch!" So the door and the couch were messed up, and this pisses me off to no end. I don't know why hotels do this. You hid in the bedroom to drink. Yeah, that's probably a wise decision. I don't know why hotels and Airbnbs do this, but they put the bed right in front of the power outlet. Like what psychopath wants that to be reality? Like, so everybody, to charge their phones, had to shift their beds over. Like to make this even worse, the one room where most people slept was there was a bunk bed, so that's heavy as hell, in front of a power outlet. So we had to move the whole bunk bed over to get to the power outlet. And then when we did that, this other bed that was in the room was also in front of a power outlet. So we had to shift that bed, and we ended up playing Tetris, basically. We were playing Tetris with all these beds to try to get it to where everybody could get to a power outlet. And then after we did that, like 2 of the power outlets didn't work at all. Like, you plugged it up, and even if you switched on the lights, like, we were like thinking, okay, well, maybe it's one of those deals where you have to switch on like a light switch to get power to that power outlet, and that wouldn't even work. They were just completely dead power outlets. So most people ended up plugging their phones into a live power outlet that was out in the hall. So you had this you had like 5 guys in one room, and all their phones were in this like rat's nest next to the doorway. Because like everybody had their phones plugged into like this one outlet that was beside the door. So you had this little pile of smartphones basically beside the door. And sorry about that. And what else? Oh, I broke a chair. Now, I know I'm a bigger gentleman. I know I'm fat. But I did not do anything bad. I did not do anything wrong to this chair. I like sat down in it, and it buckled underneath me, and it was like a decent looking chair. I was like, okay, that chair looks like it'll hold me up. I sat down in it, and it just broke. We're like, oh my god, I hope they don't charge us for that. And then at this point, it became like this comedy routine of trying to find what things would not break in this house. And also the TV didn't work. Oh, I forgot. I just remembered something else. So the TV in the main hall didn't work. The main living area, so there was no TV. And also there was another TV in the room where I think you were, Johnny, with Drake, where it had this LED light bar that that was sound activated. So every time someone would talk, Even if they were in the other room, the light bar would flash. And then it became this whole like routine of trying to figure out how to turn off this freaking light bar, because every time someone would talk when they were in the other room while everybody in that room was trying to go to bed, it was like a rave going off. It was just so. Then at like 1 in the morning, there were like 3 people trying to figure out how to turn off this one LED light bar, and it was just so funny. Oh man! And then after that, there was the last thing that happened was we it had become, we were like, okay, this place is cursed. Um, we can't do anything to this place because it's going to fall apart. Um, and we noticed beside the TV, on in the main hall, that TV that didn't work, not the rave one, um, it had a uh piece of tape that was painted over, like the oh, that was another thing, the TV on the wall had cords coming out of it, but you didn't see it in the photos, and the reason why you didn't see it was because the cord was tacked to the wall and was painted over. So it was, they weren't even hiding them or anything, it was just like right on the wall. And then it became a joke because someone was like, oh, I'm going to take this tape off, and everybody was like, no, no, don't take the tape off. If you take the tape off, it's going to make the whole house break. So it was the toy house after that moment. And the icing on the cake for that was um the we had comfortably, as Johnny pointed out in the chat, fit 6 people into the house. And at that point, someone was like, hey, before that, someone was like, hey, can I crash with y'all? Because like their hotel or something fell through. And we were like, yeah, sure, we got plenty of room, come on in. And then they ended up saying, hey, we have a friend who needs a room, can he crash with us? We're like, yeah, sure, what's going on? And this just dominoed affected to where at one point we had 12 people in this house. It literally felt like I was living in like a frat house or something, because everywhere you walked, you were bumping into people. And it was just so hilarious. That was like the simultaneously the best and worst Airbnb I think I've ever stayed at. And it was so funny thinking back on it. I'm trying to think like the best Airbnb. Oh, there was another one. I'll tell this one was we stayed at another Airbnb also in Atlanta. Just Atlanta, if you're thinking about going to Atlanta for a anything basically, do yourself a favor and just don't bother with the Airbnbs. The Airbnbs over there are cursed or something. We stayed at this was not that many people. We had like 3 or 4 people for this one. We got an Airbnb right near where the tournament was, and it was a basement apartment, which is not necessarily a problem, but it was literally like a residential house that the family lived upstairs and they rented out the basement. And I think they locked it to where you couldn't go upstairs, which is understandable. You don't want like strangers wandering through your house. But we got settled in, and it was a pretty normal Airbnb. But what I remembered was, what stuck out to me was there was a vomit bucket, and this this Airbnb had a tome. It had like a huge, like a binder that you would get. It looked like a medical book or something, of just like that thick of rules and stuff that you had to follow to stay at this Airbnb. And I swear there were like 4 complete pages dedicated to what you needed to do if you threw up. And it was like if you need to throw up, there is a vomit bucket in the closet. Use this vomit bucket. Take it into the bathroom and vomit into it. Do not empty the vomit bucket. Set the vomit bucket beside the I don't know, something. It just went on and on and on and on about the precise protocol that you needed to follow if you had to throw up. And what that told me was there was somebody at one point or another, that particular Airbnb, they had a drunk person or something stay there that absolutely decimated their apartment with just vomit, because there I have never seen so many rules written about what you need to do if you need to puke. Uh, so that was the vomit bucket Airbnb. Let's see what else has there. So we've gone over the toy house, we've gone over the vomit Airbnb. Uh oh, I'm sure there's another one that I'm missing. Oh, well, we stayed on 8 Mile one time. That was really cool. That one wasn't really like a big deal because it was a relatively nice Airbnb. We we went up to Detroit for a Grand Prix, and uh we got an air you know we got an Airbnb, of course. I'm just giving up on Airbnbs at this point. I'm just staying at a hotel or a motel at this point. But we got an Airbnb, and then we drove all the way up to Detroit, and that is a hellish drive if anybody's ever had to make that. But we got there, and we finally saw Detroit. And the cool thing about driving to Detroit also is it's not really cool. It's a horrible drive, but um you have to drive through like miles and miles and miles of farmland. Like outside of Detroit is just it's flat. It's just like grain fields, cornfields, and farms. Which is really weird when you think about Michigan and that area is how farm like how rural it is in the outlying areas. Um, but we were driving and it was really late at night, and I was having a drive and I was going crazy because this was like super late at night. We had drawn all throughout the day. So we had gone through the Mason-Dixon line, like in one day, from like the Southeast through Kentucky, through like wherever else you need to go to get up to Michigan. And it was like midnight, and I was the one driving, and I started going down what I refer to as the Black Hole Road, where, you know how you're driving at night, and I would say most people in their areas, you're driving at night, and you'll see like traffic lights, you'll see billboards, you'll see like the occasional restaurant or gas station. Well, when you're going to Detroit, the closer you get, you'll see like the normal stuff, but then eventually all the billboards go away, and then all the trees go away, and then all the the traffic signs go away. And it devolves into where you are literally driving into a black void with nothing around you. And I was so tired, and all my friends were asleep. I had like 2 or 3 other people in there, and they were all asleep. And I didn't have access to Bluetooth or anything, so I started cycling through radio stations. So I was like, okay, I need mental stimulation. I need to stay up somehow. And all the channels were dead. because we were in the middle of nowhere, basically. And I started like pushing my friend away. I was like, dude, you got to talk to me. You got to talk to me. I'm going to go insane because I'm just driving into black with nothing around me. But the cool thing is when you finally get to the outskirts of Detroit, you go down a hill and you crest a hill, and it's so bizarre because like you're in the middle of nothing, and then all of a sudden there's just this metropolis in front of you and way off in the distance, and there's like spotlights coming up from it and all the lights gleaming off of it. It's kind of like getting to Atlanta, but you don't have any trees around it, so you get to really appreciate just how large that city is. um and yeah, and we drove down, drove up, and then there's Detroit off in the distance, this big beacon in the middle of the night. And the amount of relief that I felt when I saw civilization was indescribable, because I was like, oh my god, thank goodness I can get off of this horrible road that I've been having to drive down for hours. um but after that, we went into Detroit, and we were making jokes. Obviously, if you're going to Detroit, you're making all kinds of like Eminem 8 Mile jokes. And we're like, oh, wouldn't it be funny if we stayed on 8 Mile? Like doing typical bullshit and like that. And we we sure enough, while we were driving, we got on the interstate, and we were following the directions to our Airbnb, and we saw an exit for 8 Mile, and we were like, oh, I wonder if that's our exit. And then we got off on 8 Mile, and we were like, oh my god, we're staying on 8 Mile. and yeah, and that's basically it, honestly. Like, the Airbnb was decent, actually. It was kind of cozy. The worst part about it was it was like in an upstairs attic kind of environment, kind of room, where the shower was right below the roof to the house. And I mean, like, literally right below it, to where, like, if I'm facing the shower, like, this is the shower head right here, um you have the roof that's right here. So if you're kind of tall, which I'm not super tall, I'm like pretty average height, but we had one guy staying with us who was super tall. You either have to sit down to shower, or you have to like stand and like tilt your head like this, because the roof is right here. Like, your head is touching the roof of the house. And that was really the only like inconvenience of it. It was nice overall. Let's see what else was there. I actually like Detroit. That was one thing I was surprised about, was Detroit is it is it's a fairly nice city. I think it gets a pretty bad rap, because not because of the city itself, but because of the areas surrounding the city. Because, like, when you think of Detroit, like, you think of all the crime and stuff like that that's in Detroit, you're really thinking about the outskirts of Detroit. Like, when you get into the city proper, like, I'm naive Southern kid, or man, I should say at that point, I was a naive Southern guy. I just, my only frame of reference for Detroit was a RoboCop at that point. So I was like, oh man, this is just going to be just like fires in oil cans, and trash everywhere, and muggings everywhere you look. But no, it was really nice. The city was really clean. It was organized. Uh, it was one of the nicer cities I've been in, maybe second to Charlotte or Dallas. Dallas is really good too. I really like Dallas. Um, there was one city I went to that was really nice. I'm trying to remember what it was. It may have been Dallas. I think it was because Dallas is really nice, and the food over there is amazing. But I think those are the two most quoted stories that we have in our friend group of places that are just infamous among our friends group because we you know we talk about those so much and we refer back to them whenever we're wanting to have a laugh. But I think that is where I'll call it for the night because I do have to get up in the morning. Everybody on Twitch can probably see my cat in the background. He's eyeing the floodlight back there. He's being really cute. But I think we'll call it there for the evening. As I said, this is just kind of like I wanted to test out something to see how it operated, see how it behaved between the streams right now. Didn't really go as planned, so I think this is going to be the main setup going forward. Is streaming to YouTube and Twitch at the same time, and then doing uh TikTok via my phone, which is kind of unfortunate. I really would like to stream to TikTok as well. But if anybody is looking to follow me, I have all of my links posted on Instagram, which you can find through my TikTok bio, and also like and subscribe, do all that good stuff if you'd like. But I will talk to everybody later.